Today, the world of economics is celebrating three researchers who have reshaped our understanding of prosperity itself. The 2025 Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences has been awarded a trio of economists, Joel Mokyr, Philippe Aghion, and Peter Howitt. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences honored them for their groundbreaking work explaining how innovation drives economic growth. Their ideas help us understand a fundamental question. Why, after centuries of stagnation, has the world experienced sustained economic growth for the last 200 years? The answer lies in two powerful, connected concepts: creative destruction and useful knowledge. Let's start with the idea of creative destruction, a theory formalized by laureates Philippe Aghion and Peter Howitt. The concept was first popularized by the Austrian economist Joseph Schumpeter back in 1942, but Aghion and Howitt built the first mathematical models to truly explain how it works. At its heart, creative destruction is the engine of capitalism, a constant process of out with the old, in with the new. The creative part is the innovation, new technologies, better products, and more efficient ways of doing things. The destructive part is what happens to the old way of doing things. As new innovations take hold, old industries and the jobs tied to them decline or disappear entirely. You can see this process all around you. Think about how streaming services like Netflix made video rental stores like Blockbuster obsolete, or how the smartphone in your pocket didn't just replace the flip phone, it also replaced digital cameras, MP3 players, and paper maps for millions of people. This cycle of new ideas destroying old ones is what forces businesses to keep innovating and is the fundamental driver of long-term growth and rising living standards. But for this engine of creative destruction to even start, you need the right fuel. That's where the work of the third laureate, Joel Mokyr, comes in. An economic historian at Northwestern University, Mokyr looked back through centuries of data and asked why the Industrial Revolution happened when and where it did. His answer is that for innovation to lead to sustained growth, a society needs a growing base of what he calls useful knowledge. Mokyr divides this into two types. First, there's what knowledge, the scientific understanding of why the world works the way it does. Think of the laws of physics or biology. Second, there's how knowledge, the practical, hands-on ability to build and operate things, like an engineering blueprint or a recipe. For most of human history, these two streams of knowledge ran separately. Mokyr argues the big breakthrough came during the European Enlightenment, when science and practice began to feed each other. Scientific discoveries made new inventions possible, and those new inventions created new problems for science to solve. This created a self-sustaining cycle of progress. But it also required a culture that was open to new ideas and willing to challenge old ways of doing things. Together, the work of these three laureates tells a powerful story. Mokyr explains the deep historical conditions that create the fertile ground for innovation, while Aghion and Howitt modeled the dynamic, ongoing process of how that innovation churns through the economy. But their work isn't just about history or theory. It has profound implications for us today. It reminds us that economic growth isn't guaranteed. It's the result of a process that must be nurtured and protected. This process, however, is a double-edged sword. While creative destruction brings progress, it also creates winners and losers. When a new technology emerges, some jobs inevitably become obsolete. This isn't a new phenomenon.
Think of the blacksmiths and carriage makers who lost their livelihoods with the rise of the automobile. Today, we see similar disruptions from automation and artificial intelligence. So, what should be done? The laureate's research suggests that trying to protect old, inefficient jobs is a losing battle that leads to stagnation. Instead, policy should focus on protecting the workers. This idea is often called flexicurity, a model famously used in Denmark. It combines flexibility for employers, making it easier to adapt to new market conditions, with security for workers. This security comes in the form of generous unemployment benefits and, crucially, strong government-funded retraining programs to help people gain the skills needed for the new jobs being created. Furthermore, their work highlights the importance of competition. Aghion and Howitt's models show that if a few large firms dominate an industry, they can become complacent and use their power to stifle the next wave of innovation. This has led to renewed calls for strong antitrust policies to ensure that new, disruptive companies have a fair chance to compete. Finally, their research underscores the need for continued public investment in education and research, the very things that build the stock of useful knowledge that Mokyr identified as the foundation of all progress. In a world facing debates over globalization and technological change, the work of Mokyr, Aghion, and Howitt is more relevant than ever. It provides a framework for understanding that progress is inherently disruptive, but that with the right policies, we can manage that disruption, support those affected by it, and ensure the engine of creative destruction continues to build a more prosperous future.